All right, so we're here live, KO Nation podcast. We're here with Fareedsamad, trainer at the Mayweather Boxing Club, and I'm so thankful to have this guy here. Great trainer, and we're gonna get right to it to this podcast and ask some very interesting questions on the year in boxing 2023.
Unbelievable! You want to throw sometime? Bang! Oh, my God! Okay, Chip. 7 rounds to 2.
Word. So thankful to have you here, man. Give
Glad to be here.
a little short introduction to yourself, so everybody out there knows who you are and what you're all about.
Fareedsamad, boxing trainer, coach, extraordinaire, mobile, now global, trained to perfection. I train to teach till you perfect it. You know what I'm saying? You could do it in your sleep. Mayweather Boxing Gym. I have several fighters. Been coaching in the game over 20 years. Love what I do.
Word. That's good. That's good to hear, and I just want to say thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I know people that are subscribed to my channel, they've kind of seen a little bit of a disappearance. Haven't been doing too many shows this year, but I'm a pretty busy guy. But I'm so thankful for you to, put out some content to my subscribers, to a great trainer in boxing that more people need to know about. You train a professional fighter. We're going to talk about that. Who's a pretty highly regarded. He's a prospect. His name's Curmel Moton. He was on the undercard of this last weekend's pay-per-view. Not this last weekend, but the previous weekend. It was at I think it was at Mandalay Bay, the Michelob
Yes,
Ultra Arena in Las
yes.
Vegas. How did that turn out for you guys? Give a little update on what occurred there and your thoughts on the whole experience.
It turned out really well. Kind of like we planned it. So everything worked out. Hormel now is 2-0, two knockouts. He fought two undefeated fighters. First fight was on the the Canelo undercard with Charlo. He got a knockout first round. This fight right here, he got a knockout first round. So we're doing really well.
Yeah, that's great, man. Really, it's got to be a blessing to be on two of the biggest events of the year. It's really a great way to get exposure. Was this a walkout bout or what? As far as the undercard, where was Moton placed?
Both both fights were after the main event, which was pretty awesome. You know, people thought it as a negative, but I thought it was a positive because his fights went. We knew they were going to go fast. We just know the guy that we have. We knew they were going to go fast. They were going to be on the internet. So really quick, and everybody stayed around or was there for him because the main event had just happened. Some people went to the press conference, but the WBC stayed there. The WBA stayed there. So people just stayed and watched him. And he put on the show, first round knockout. So it was really awesome.
And so the reception was pretty good. There was still a bunch of people in the arena that were kind of
Yes.
got to see him. That was good. That's good. That's really positive because we need new stars in boxing. That's the lifeblood. Is people just they see who the stars are now, but they don't see that we really need to support the upcoming fighters. Journalists kind of I notice nowadays they kind of tend to latch on. They want to latch on to the fighters when they get to the top, but they don't want to necessarily always trying to support the upcoming fighters. And the thing is, you never know who's going to become a superstar. For example, Terrence Crawford, when he was coming up, wasn't that highly regarded by a lot of people in the boxing business, but people on the inside knew that he was talented. But sometimes you kind of need the right, I guess, team around you or people that see your potential that can really kind of help you get to the next level. Luckily for this kid, he has a great support system. You obviously, as his trainer, and then his promotional team, which is Mayweather Promotions, they see something in this kid. Um, you specifically, what do you see in this kid in the future? Without going too far in the future, but you obviously work with him in the gym. What do you see? What do you like?
I see the potential is infinite. So uh, I see him winning the world title at 26, 30, 35, and maybe even 40. I see him winning all those world titles. I don't know if he's gonna be undisputed because I don't know if he's gonna stay in those that long, or if he's gonna get those fights because of there's so many belts and there's so many different promoters, so they don't come together and fight. And the last thing I want to harp on or say to you is like Ellie Setback is he stays on Cormel. He's been knowing him since he was an amateur, so he's always promoting him. But thing is with people, they don't understand is they want to latch on the writers and stuff. They want to latch on the big names, so they don't do their research and know who's coming in the pipeline, or they don't really study boxing. So if they study boxing or know boxing, they would know who they would do interviews with when they were young. By the time they get to the big spot or the number one spot, those guys would do anything for them. But they wait till they get, till they get to the top, and then they try to latch on. And then, some people be like, "Oh no, I'm not dealing with you. When I was there, when I was, coming up, you wouldn't say nothing to me. So why say something to me now?"
No, I feel you. It's the nature of the kind of the world that we live in. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. It's more about being with the top people, but not wanting to do any nurturing. And I think nurturing is really important, especially just the growth of the sport in general. You really want to present the sport in its natural form, which is to me that the amateur game is a really huge part of it that doesn't really get a whole lot of coverage, but it's extremely important. I kind of know that from doing some work with Richard Steele's gym and interviewing him years ago and covering an amateur show at his gym. It's part of the extremely important kind of uh, no,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Got to stay on the kids.
yeah, a little
You got to stay on the
technical
future.
difficulty there. But
Yeah.
so moving on from that, just to kind of go into the whole show itself, the main event we had was David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andre. Both fighters went into the contest undefeated. Andre, 35 years old, had never been in a major pay-per-view event in his career, um, and he was unsuccessful. I mean, he's a great guy. He's been on my show before. Um, just couldn't stop the onslaught from Benavidez, he really made a statement. What was your thoughts on the overall main event of the card?
I thought all the fights was awesome because it's the end of the year. So the thing is with the end of the year is people have contracts that they have fights. You're supposed to fight 3 times in a year and you don't get a fight, so you have to fight or your contract is voided. So they had to put like a mega card together with so many fights, and it was really, really good. The matchups was really good. So that's what happened. But the Benavidez uh, Andrade fight, I didn't see it going that way. I thought that Boo Boo was going to actually do better boxing and moving, but I thought that Benavidez was the bigger of the two, physically stronger than the two, and he was going from weight was up to down. So, and then Boo Boo really, he's really a 60 pounder at best. He fought 68, and he got he got beat. I mean, it was bad. I mean, he did well the first 2 rounds, and then after that, it was just an onslaught. So, I maybe the first 3 rounds he did well, but after that, it was bad. So, but hey, he took the fight. He nobody else would take the fight. I mean, nobody would want to fight Boo Boo anyway, so it was kind of hard. So, he had to take this fight.
Yeah,
I wish him well.
just to add to what you're saying, my observation was he looked really good for the first couple rounds, and I think it probably against any other 168 pounder, I think he would have done a lot better because it's just the pressure. Um, Even Canelo does put pressure on, but the pressure he puts on is not like the pressure of Benavidez. I mean, Benavidez, he's hard to discourage. Um, he's better defensively than it appears because he does kind of square up quite a bit, but he knows how to block punches. He's got a good jab, a very underrated jab that he kind of uses to get himself in range. And he's usually a slow starter, so it usually takes him 2 or 3 rounds to kind of get his engine going. And then, like you saw in the Caleb Plant fight, it was a little bit similar, where it took him a while to kind of figure out the style of the boxer, and then once he kind of got into his range, he saw his engine was smoking, and he got his
Yeah,
put his punches together. And a fighter like him, he knows how to throw combinations. He puts his punches together,
yeah, yes he do, yes he
and
do.
at the same time, he forces you to fight at a pace that you don't want to fight at. Um, that being said, I did expect him to win the fight. I didn't think he was going to win it as easily as he did. I think that was pretty
Yeah,
much your assessment, correct?
yes, yes. I bet on Boo Boo. I bet on. I thought it was going to be closer than what it was. I thought it was going to go to the decision,
Yeah.
and I mean, because of the odds, I bet like $15 on him to win. I even bet on the draw also, but and Benavidez showed why they call him the Mexican Monster because he slaughtered Boo Boo. So I have to give him his props. He demolished him those last 2 or 3 rounds,
I
to
mean,
where
it really was. You kind of
one sided.
yeah, you felt for
Yeah,
Andre. You're like, you know what,
right.
this guy's got heart. He
Like
fought.
stop the fight.
Yeah,
Like stop the fight. You
but
know.
the thing is, Andre came to fight. So, for example, when we saw Charlo weeks ago, I hate to keep reiterating this because we talked about it already, but when Charlo fought Canelo, he didn't really come to fight.
Nah, he
He
came to
came to
survive.
kind of get his
Yeah, he
check and
came to survive.
yeah, get his check and then go to the club afterwards, without any damage. Andre
Definitely.
came to win, and
Yeah, he put his chin on the line.
when you come to win, sometimes you're actually going to take more punishment because you're taking a chance.
Yeah,
And
he put his chin on the line.
yeah, he did. So I have the utmost respect for Andre just for taking the fight. Nobody wanted to fight him, but he stepped up to the plate. Doesn't mean he's a bad fighter, and I think that gets thrown around. A fighter loses one fight. That's one of the problems we have with boxing is once a fighter loses, everybody just wants to trash him. But it's like
Yeah,
a fight. Two guys are going to fight. Somebody's got to win. I mean, unless it's a draw, obviously, but somebody's got to be the victor, and you got to look at the performance of the fighter and grade them on that because obviously one man is going to be better on the night. Doesn't make you a bad fighter. I got to give both guys credit to stepping up to the plate because obviously they wanted Canelo. I think Benavidez made a statement that he deserves the fight with Canelo. In my mind, what do you feel about that? And just briefly, who wins that fight if that fight does occur next year?
yeah, he deserved that fight. It's a mega fight. He deserved it, and I'm going with Benavidez. I think that his Benavidez output, his punch output, is just too much for Canelo. Canelo likes to punch in spots. He punches onesies and twosies. Excuse me. He don't punch in combinations. And like when he lost to B-ball, it showed. B-ball boxed him through punches and angles and moved around. So B-ball I think washed him, like beat him real bad. I had it maybe 9-3 at best. You know what I'm saying? But so I think it would be more exciting because Benavidez will stand in the pocket and won't move as much like on angles. But I still think that Canelo gets beat.
Yeah, I kind of I think I agree with you 100%, and I think that's part of the reason why we haven't seen this fight happen is Not because Canelo is scared of Benavidez. I just think his team they they're gonna maximize how much money he can make. Because that Bivol fight was like a misstep. He probably underestimated Bivol. The bad style matchup. They don't want if he loses again. I mean, that really reduces his market value. And he's only has maybe 3 or 4 fights left. You know, considering his age and the amount of fights he has. So, but I think the fans are beating the drums for
Yeah,
Canelo versus Benavidez. So there's
heck
only
yeah,
so many Charlo type opponents that he can fight moving forward. I mean, he
yeah.
got to step up. If it's not in May, it's got to be in September. I think,
September, yeah.
yeah, that's what
I'm thinking September would be awesome because May he could fight whoever, um, and then September because September is really that's the original um, um, Mexican holiday. So I think that would be awesome. You know what I'm saying? To fight
I
that
guess they're saying that Jaime Munguia is
the
the
next victim.
talks for that's the
Oh,
May fight, and then
okay. May is
hopefully we
fine, and
get.
then
I don't think
yeah,
I want to see
hopefully
the other Charlo against Canelo. No way.
nah,
Got to
nah.
get the
Hopefully,
Benavidez in there. Hopefully we can get
hope
that fight.
and hopefully they can do a main event, co-main event. They could fight on the same card. You know what I'm saying? Or fight on the same card, or fight a couple of weeks afterwards, so both of them both get fights. Uh, I would like them to do it on the same card. That would be like a mega card.
Yeah, I think that would blow me
Benavidez,
away. Definitely.
yeah, Benavidez be the co-main event. He's the main event after they finish fighting. Then they'd be like September it is. Both of these guys win. In September they will be fighting again, and then go from there. You know.
Yeah, I mean, can't disagree with you about that at all. Um, moving on to the next topic. This is something that's huge. Showtime, out of boxing for good. Um, 35 years, I believe, in the game of boxing. They're owned by Paramount and Paramount CBS, I believe. They're done. So this is a big shakeup in the whole uh, future of boxing because obviously a lot of Al Heyman's fighters, PBC, they were linked to Showtime. That was their television outlet. Now there's rumors about them possibly being with Amazon Prime or trying to get a deal with them. Um, they have a lot of fighters on their roster, and they need a platform. What's your thoughts about that? Is this like the nail in the coffin for boxing, like some people are saying, or is it just the nature of boxing? That somebody else.
Nah, boxing goes on. Like I've been around since boxing was on closed circuit TV. You know what I'm saying? It was closed circuit at one time. Sugar Ray Leonard fought Duran on closed circuit. Then it go from closed circuit, then it went to HBO. HBO was huge, then Showtime. And all these are gone right now. All these are dinosaurs.
Yeah,
And now it's streaming and stuff like that. Boxing will be fine. You know, boxing will be fine. You're just not used to or accustomed to. Uh, you need to have boxing associated with Showtime, boxing associated with HBO. Showtime wasn't even really that big at one time. It was HBO was the huge one. Showtime was just there. Don King had Showtime at first. I remember that. Don King was over at Showtime, and HBO was like huge. Then HBO closed down. Then Showtime became big. Floyd went over from HBO to Showtime. Then Showtime became huge. Now Showtime is gone, and somebody else is going to be huge. You know what I'm saying? Amazon Prime or whoever is going to be big. Streaming lines, Zeus Network, and boxing is always going to be accessible. So it's not going to die. People said when MMA, UFC came in, oh, boxing is going to be dead. Boxing is going to be dead. Yeah, you look at UFC now and boxing. Uh, you look who get paid what. That's why every UFC guy wants to box because they're not getting paid at all. You know what I'm saying? Or scraps, as Ngannou. Ngannou made the most money he made in his whole career. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing about that is Ngannou didn't even want to have he was more about getting rights for the fighters. He was okay. He was saying, hey, I want to get health care, dental care for the UFC guys, and they didn't want to do it. So now look at it. So boxing will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's boxing's death is like they predict it every single year. It keeps
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's interesting though that you just brought up Fury and Francis Ngannou, because this is my first time talking to you since that interview, and you gave your thoughts on that fight. Now this is after the fact, and Ngannou, he knocked down the heavyweight champion and lost a very close, somewhat to a lot of people controversial decision. I thought Fury won, but um, barely. What's your thoughts on that? Was that unexpected?
Oh, definitely unexpected. I didn't think it was going to go. I didn't think it was going to be that that type of fight. I had Ngannou winning by 1 point or a draw. I didn't have Fury winning at all. A draw at best, just because I know how the politics works and they want him to fight Usyk, but there's no way in the world he could uh watch the fight and say, "Oh, I really won that. I did really really well." He looked horrible.
Was that performance bad for boxing, or is that just one of those where you're like,
Nah, I mean, you. The thing is, people always say that when they put one person on boxing, that's just like saying, when religion wise, when one person do something, they blame it on the whole religion. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, it is what it is. Like we know that Tyson Fury's, look at him, how he looked out of shape. He didn't take it seriously. You know what I'm saying? We know Ngannou can fight. You know what I'm saying? And he did really, really well. Um, so it is what it is. So one fighter doesn't make boxing. Like one MMA guy doesn't make MMA. You know what I'm saying? Because every time MMA guy fights a boxer, they normally lose. So we can't just say, but we know for a fact we going in that squared circle in that UFC, that cage, we losing. We getting kicked in the leg, you know what I'm saying? We tap it out or we get hit up in the head. So that's why they box. And then also we make more money. Ain't no use of going over to UFC and making scraps.
But actually, I'm going to contradict your statement there, because there was a boxer, Holly Holm, years ago that went over to MMA and she knocked out Ronda Rousey. Remember that?
Okay, well, she you say as she was a boxer,
Background. She
she
was
had a
like,
professional boxing career, yes, but she wasn't a boxer coming over there. She did Muay Thai, she did kickboxing. She wasn't like, and she was horrible as a boxer too. She got her ass whipped. You seen her get stopped a lot, but she basically came from boxing over to. She didn't come from boxing like Floyd and went over there and fought Holly Holmes or fought somebody automatically. Had a boxing background, or she boxed in professional boxing. But you look at her boxing record, I seen her get knocked out a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? So
she was one of the best champions, women champions in boxing for a long time, though. I mean, she was a great champion. You remember
I would say I would use the word great. If there's only 200, let me not
I
saying like
get
an
what you're
art.
saying. The talent pool isn't like
There's
the
237 professional women boxers right now as we speak.
Okay. Yeah, you
So
got a point. I'm just what I'm
yeah,
just saying is that was an example of a boxer going over to MMA. Kind of the same deal. Like the only thing is Francis didn't win, but he kind of went over there and he made a good account of himself. What
he
people
did, he did,
he
he
did
did, and she did also, but she wasn't a boxer. Like she didn't transition from boxing right to MMA. She did MMA a long time
yeah.
before she even got a fight as a yeah, and that's what people have to Normally a MMA guy say, I could come over and I can fight this world champion and I can beat him. I can just go transition, not even one fight. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, the transition wise.
I
You
thought
know?
I was going to give you my just brief thoughts on why Francis. I thought he was had success, and
Yes.
I think it's because it's heavyweight boxing. I think in the lower weight classes, you'll never see an MMA guy be able to go over to boxing and have any success, because it's a little bit different. But with heavyweights, they're so big and strong, they can end the fight with one punch. I mean, anybody
Yeah,
can knock
yeah,
anybody out in heavyweight, and that's kind of what you saw. It was Tyson Fury kind of went in there just doing his thing, not really giving the guy a whole lot of respect. And MMA fighters, they're awkward. You know, boxers, the way that they're trained to fight is completely different than an MMA fighter. So, for example, probably the punches that Ngannou was throwing, and then when they got in the clinches, the strength that Ngannou had was immense. You could see that he wasn't able to bully Ngannou, and I think those little nuances affected Tyson Fury. And then once he got knocked down, he's like, "Oh man, this guy can hit. I better just
yeah.
get better boxing."
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what
It's
I
such a
saw there.
difference. And also, what you said is totally correct because in heavyweights, bigger guys they can have less skills, but they got that punch. Smaller weights, you have to, for one, you have to make your weight class. You know what I'm saying? Big guys don't have to make a weight class; they just gonna come in and fight. Smaller guys have to make a weight class, so you have to have a little bit more discipline than all discipline in your technique. So that's why smaller guys, you know what I'm saying, the transition coming over is just like a little different because of what they have to go to, and they have more discipline. You know what I'm saying? Not no harps or no gripes on the big heavyweight guys, but the smaller weight classes are more disciplined than the big weight classes. It is what it is.
Yeah, you're 100% there. Um, I wanted to go and talk about Ryan Garcia, but before that, we're gonna discuss because we did talk about two pay-per-views. One of them was Fury and Francis Ngannou. According to the reports, it didn't do so well on pay-per-view in the United States, but obviously it's an African and a guy from the UK. So I heard it did sell a lot pay-per-views in the UK. Didn't do well in the United States. Reports of 50, 60,000 buys. Everybody was talking about it, so obviously a lot of
Yeah.
people saw it.
Nobody want to
So
pay for that. Nobody in America wanted to pay for a UFC guy fighting an American
yeah,
boxer guy. So you know what I'm saying?
and
That
then
wasn't just
Benavidez Andre was reportedly only did about 62,000 pay-per-view buys as well. You would, I mean, obviously they're not big, huge names, but little bit of an underwhelming pay-per-view numbers. So I wanted to bring up this topic of uh, of piracy. Um, this is really affecting the sport. What's your thoughts on it? I mean, what could be the solution? I mean, there's so many different ideas of what can be done, but for some reason, people keep stealing them. What's your thoughts on that? What could be done, or is there anything we could be done, or do they need to put together uh, better cards, or do these events need better promotion? Do the prices should the prices be more
affordable.
cost effective for the consumer?
Yeah, man.
What's your thoughts? I mean, it's a
I don't
big
even,
it's a
I don't
loaded
even know,
question.
man. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah,
I just know that some. Don't get me wrong. Some fights don't deserve to be on pay-per-view. Some fights like or cards, you'd be like, I'm not paying for that. SHIT. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I pay for that? Like the card is trash. You know what I'm saying? So I think that better cards would bring forth more more buys. And then you also have to find a way to we have access to everything right in the palm of our hand. So it's kind of like even if you don't watch a fight right then and there, you can watch it like maybe an hour later or something for free. So why would you pay for it? You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
it's true. It's I mean it's
yeah,
interesting because I remember when I used to live in Los Angeles, and that's where I grew up. So um, kind of more of like my base of people were out there. So I used to have these big fight parties. You know, we'd buy a pay-per-view, and then I'd have people would pitch in, and then we would do these little raffles and stuff where I would put you know 1 through 12 in a little hat, and then everybody kind of chips in like $1 or $5. Whatever round that you pick out of the hat, if that's where the fight ends, you get the whole pot. And we would do stuff like
right,
that,
nice.
fun things like that. And we'd have fights and barbecue, and people would bring beer, and we just party, and you know, and that was pretty regular. I mean, I remember so many fights. We would have these fight parties. Um, but now, if you want to, You know, for example, if you're somebody and you don't have that system around you of, you know, friends and family that are interested in boxing, you're not going to pay $85 to go watch something by yourself. So I could see
Yeah.
that there's got to be some middle ground between what is reasonable for a fan to be expected to pay. Is more value the solution? I don't know. It's really
Man, I don't
really
know.
is a
It's
loaded
like,
question.
yeah, it's like a double negative because you say, all right, you can't get out. You're at your job, so you pay $85 to watch fighting. It's just you. But then um, I pay $85 and I invite 200 people over. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say you pay $85. I pay 85, but I had 200 people mooch off of me or you have
Yeah,
a party,
yeah,
and you pay $85 just to yourself and saw it yourself. So you know,
yeah. It's
you
really
know,
it's something that it's hard to combat. Um, but at the same time, I think when it's a big fight that everybody is interested in seeing, I think most people are going to pay. And I think you kind of saw that with the Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis. The mainstreamers, they came out and
yeah,
they put their money where their mouth was. They wanted to see it. They paid for it.
yeah,
That being said, Ryan Garcia, he just fought this last weekend. His comeback fight from that, I wouldn't say miserable performance, but against Tank Davis, but he, the way he quit, put a bad, gave him a bad reputation in a lot of people's minds. Um, this Saturday, he had a comeback fight. He won by stoppage, but didn't look the greatest. What was? Did you see that fight? What was your thoughts on it and his performance?
Well, this is what I have to say. I know Derek James. I think he's a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Good coach, good trainer. So when you transition from somebody to somebody else, um, as in I had Zab Judah before, Danny Jacobs, Tony Harrison. These guys, they're used to or accustomed to do certain things. So it takes a couple of fights for you to get your fighter on the right track to be because Ryan Garcia has a lot of mistakes. You know, he does a lot of things that's not right. You know, and he got away with chin up in the air, throwing punches. Uh,
What did you
basically,
think of that thing he was doing? I think this is people have been talking about it. His
the
turning his
shoulder
back.
roll.
I mean, that
Yeah, the shoulder
he
roll.
was he was showing his back to his opponent, and his
It was
opponent.
called like the shoulder roll. I don't know what he's thinking about or what he's thinking about doing it and working on it. But you know, we'll see in a couple of
Was that
fights.
tactic what he was doing?
I had a slice idea.
Was
I'm
that
not going.
did that seem
I don't know.
legal? Was that a legal move he was
No,
doing?
it's not a. It's a. He was doing a shoulder roll, but he was trying to turn. Shoulder rolls mean you turning your shoulder, but sometimes his back will be towards the opponent. You know what I'm saying? So the referee will tell you. The referee will tell you if a guy throwing a punch and it's straight and you turn your head, and you get hit in the side of the head. It's your fault. So if a guy throwing a body shot and you turn your back towards and he hits you in the back, it's legal. So that's what the referee will tell you. So I don't know what he's doing.
What did you think? The reason why I'm asking you these questions is because I'm of the opinion he was turning his back, and I'm also of the opinion that the referees his his performance was somewhat mediocre. I've never seen this referee before. What did you think of his performance? Was that it appeared to me he was really just trying to help the house fighter.
Oh yeah, well, you know, man, it's life. This is boxing. Boxing has the A side and the B side, and the A side is normally protected by the referee and by the you know what I'm saying the judges or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? So Duarte only way he was gonna win that fight if he'd have knocked Ryan Garcia out. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. You know,
so so
you have to know what you're dealing with.
what could he have done to combat some of that stuff that the turning of the back or just the overall how would you say it when the referee's not on your side, and I mean obviously
Yeah,
you know that coming in, I saw opportunities there for Duarte. He just didn't seem like he was so leery of getting hit with the left hook. He wasn't letting his hands go. When he got in the pocket, he wasn't doing what, because obviously Ryan Garcia is not an infighter. You would think once he kind of got him on the ropes, he would kind of try to trap him there and keep him there, and it didn't seem like he was able to do it. Was that a lack of boxing acumen, or was that just because he was leery of getting countered?
I don't know. I can't speak for him or I'm on the outside looking at, oh, if I'd have trained him, he'd have been doing this, doing that. But it goes back to training. Goes back to what you're taught. You're gonna do you're gonna do what you're taught. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like osmosis, but you're gonna do what you're taught. So that's why you practice. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, if you didn't train for those specific scenarios, you're just not going to do it in the fight.
Yeah, if you
It's
don't train to get in the inside and let your punches go, let your hands go, then you know what I'm saying, you're gonna do what you do, So the left hook comes when you throw in the right hand. He could have been left hooking him using his left hook to the body when he got it inside. But hey, it is what it is.
yeah, I mean, you would expect that some of the tactics of Garcia, you would have trained for A, B, and C scenarios to occur. I think from the Duarte standpoint was maybe he was expecting that Garcia was just going to stand right in front of him the whole time and just trade punches, and that's not what
That was yeah, that was
I think
dumb.
that's what probably got him a little bit
Yeah.
frustrated and kind of I wouldn't say off his game plan, but he just didn't seem he seemed like he had just following him around and not moving his hands enough, and that's kind of led to the stoppage in the eighth round.
Yeah. What
So
can you say?
another question. So Ryan Garcia, what's the future for him? Is he just all hype, because of his social media, or is this more something where he has talent, he needs to improve, but he just is he there? Is he at the world class level? Do you think he can beat any of these other champions at 140, or does he have a future?
Uh Man, okay, there's a 140 pounder who just fought. Um he just fought on the Benavidez card. I
Oh,
forgot his name,
Julio
man.
Matias.
Yeah, ain't they ain't beat him. They need to leave him alone. Ryan Garcia, them guys, man, to get stopped by him, I think. You know what I'm saying? But at 140, it all depends. But Ryan has skills, but I don't think that he has the skills that the money that they put behind him. He had that social media follow him. Before he got with Canelo and them, he was like a clean cut kid. He didn't have no tattoos, and then he started getting tattoos, which I think tarnishes his brand. But he's also a born again Christian, so they can actually do anything and still like actually just go on. Like it seems like that's the thing. But as far as skills wise, he has a lot of talent, but he's not on that level. I don't think he's on that level, but he pushed it with his mouth and the money that they're paying him to be on that level. Like De La Hoya did not want him to fight Tank. Tank is one of De La Hoya's favorite fighters. He was like, they were like, if you would fight Tank, what would you need? He's like, a bat. You know what I'm saying? He likes Tank that much. But Ryan pushed for that fight. He pushed for it. He pushed for it, and then he got stopped. You know what I'm saying? So he's just not ready on that level yet. I think that he need to work on getting to that level, and he had to have the work ethics. Same thing with Canelo said that he's a good guy. He was getting better, but his work ethics wasn't good. He didn't want to be great, and you can see it in his performance.
Yeah,
That's just me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm agreeing with you. I mean, his a and sometimes when you keep jumping trainers all the time, that can be a negative, because
Yeah, that affects,
you don't have enough time to learn what they're trying to teach you, and you
and
kind
it
of feel
talks
like you're
about you,
looking. I'm sorry.
and it also talks about you. It talks about you, what type of person you are. If you bouncing from trainer to trainer to trainer to trainer, that's a red flag. That's a signal to like, okay, um, This person doesn't like constructive criticism. This person doesn't want to learn. This person is happy doing what they're doing, but when you try to learn and teach them, they're going to act a certain way, and then they're going to leave you.
Yeah.
You start looking at that. Like I had Alicia Baumgarten. I had trained her for like 2 fights, but I should have looked on, and then she left me and stayed with Tony Harrison. I don't know what they're doing now, but that was a sign for me, and I overlooked that because actually Tony Harrison brought her to me because I trained him for 2 world championships. We got 2 green belts out of the deal. Every time I trained him, we won. Every time I didn't train him, we got knocked out. But the thing is, I'm like, I should have looked at that after hindsight, after, saying she left me. I was like, I should have looked at that. She had so many trainers. So that tells about her. Saying? She talked that talk. Oh man, I want to get better. I want to do this. I want to do that. I really want to get better. And I think that you have the technique to help me out. But then when it comes down to it, teaching it and learning it, it was like, nah, I want to do something else. I want to do what I want to do. So that's the example I'm giving you. But I understood now. Like, person has like 5, 6 trainers. I'm like, nah. Like, how did you get all the trainers? Like, well, what's going on? Especially if you had some good ones. Like, nah, that person's not for me.
Yeah, it's I mean it's difficult because and I remember I'm trying to remember who was saying this because I want to give credit where credit's due, but this is something that I'm sure plenty of people said. So I don't want to make it look like this is my own thought. I'm taking this from somebody else. Um, Essentially, a trainer, because of the way that boxing is, the fighter pays the trainer. So because of that, it kind of creates a situation where it's not like professional sports where, if baseball or football, the coach isn't paid by the player. The coach is paid by the
The
owner,
organization.
the
Right. The
organization.
organization.
So
Yes.
when you're the person that's actually paying the trainer and then the trainer is telling you something that you don't want to do, they're kind of on your payroll. So the relationship is a little bit different. And I think sometimes when fighters kind of get to more the top level, I mean, a novice fighter, then obviously it's a little bit different. But when fighters get to $1 million level and the trainer is kind of like trying to tell them stuff and they're like, I want to get somebody else who isn't going to be bossing me around. It's like I'm your boss. You get what I'm
Perfectly
saying?
said.
Some people
Perfectly
might have
said.
that attitude. Not every fighter, but I'm just saying you might get into
Perfectly
that
said.
situation. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's
Ha- ha-
perfectly said.
and obviously I'm sure you've dealt with situations like that. I'm not asking you to name any names, but that's something I'm sure that you've been exposed to somewhat.
Hell yeah. Yes. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and I don't expect you to go into any detail. I'm just you're
Yeah.
co-signing that obviously. Um,
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. It's
You can just look at my track. You just look at my track record and the people I trained, and then you'll know.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Every last one of them. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because I don't have a falling out with people. You know what I'm saying? And people don't really have a falling out with me. It's just like I'm not a good fit for everybody because I want to teach. I want you to be better. You know what I'm saying? And then some people get to a certain point where they say, this is what I'm doing is good enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, it's not good enough. You know what I'm saying? You should be wanting to be perfect in every aspect of what you're doing. Um, so when you get out there, you can be able to adjust and do things. I've never ever had so it's really not, it's not me, you know what I'm saying? So I've never really had a falling out with a fighter because I didn't work or I was lazy. It was because I wanted to do more and I wanted to make sure that they were the best that they could be. And they didn't want that. They just wanted to settle for being okay. Even though they got world titles, they still wanted to settle with, this has worked for me before. This is what I'm gonna do. I was like, even put your hands down. Oh well, I won this fight doing that. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you don't need me.
It's one of those things where they might not listen to their coach, and then what they doing whatever they want to do, and then that stuff's working for them. But then as soon as they lose a fight, so basically they were never listening to the adjustments you were talking about in the beginning, but they were getting by on, I guess you could say, their talent or whatnot. But then the
Right.
time, but then the time that they lose, they want to blame the trainer.
Of course. Yep. Perfectly said. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Moving on from that, but that's a great conversation because I always think about that stuff. With we talked about that on the last time I interviewed you about fighters always and fans always blaming the trainer whenever the fighter loses, but rarely getting any of the credit when the fighter actually wins the fight.
Wins or perform. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
performs
true.
well. They kind of don't. The fighter gets all the credit when they win, but when they lose, the trainer gets all the criticism. But anyways, moving on from that, um, pound for pound, can you give me to, the fighters you think are the best fighters in the sport? You don't have to give me an order. Who's the best guys out there? I think it's a consensus for most people who the top five is, but give me a
Terrence Crawford, Inoue, the kid from Japan.
yeah.
Yeah, he's in there too. Um, I mean, I'm saying number two, but I'm saying these are I'm just
Yeah.
names I'm running off. Uh, Tank,
Tank. Okay.
Tank is definitely in there. Yeah, Tank is in there. Three. Um, Man, heavyweight, I would say Usyk. I would say Usyk is in there because Usyk can actually he went from cruiserweight to heavyweight, but he could box, he could punch, he can actually, uh pound for pound. I would put him in there. Four, shucks, I'm trying to think who else. Man,
Canelo.
man, you have to you kind of have to jump. You have to put Benavidez in there,
Okay.
pound for pound.
All right.
Benavidez is definitely in there.
What about what about Canelo?
Canelo's in there too.
Or is he kind
Well,
of stuck?
Canelo for longevity is still in there.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They say to beat a man, you got. Well, I used to watch wrestling. Ric Flair used to always talk. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Woo! You know what I'm saying? That was my boy. So yeah, he's definitely in there because I think he's still the face of boxing. Canelo is 1A, and I would put Gervonta Davis as 1B because Gervonta Davis has sold out everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere he goes, he sells out, even though he
So
has the
you said
right partner.
you said one who is 1A and who is
One
one?
A is Canelo, face of boxing. 1B is, there's a 1A. There's still a 1 and 1. There's a 1A, Canelo, still the face of boxing, and 1B is Tank. You
Okay.
know,
So those are the
yeah,
two.
boxing
I
wise.
guess you could say biggest ticket sellers. Um,
Biggest ticket seller, ticket drawers, yeah,
what
in
about
boxing.
okay? So you named well, I
I
don't
said
want to make
Usyk, Crawford, Inoue, Tank, and Canelo, and I put Benavidez in there. Canelo and Benavidez, there's a 5A or a 5B or something like that. So
yeah.
I can't put, I don't know, I can't put them in that order.
I
Who do
can't
you like?
argue. I can't argue with that list at all. At
Yeah.
one point, a lot of people had Charlo in the top 10, but does he
Uh,
deserve to be
yeah,
there
okay.
based off of that performance? But he did move up two weight classes, so
Well,
I
I would say top 10. You said five. He's not in my top five, but
okay,
top 10, he would have to be in there because he got the undisputed junior middleweight title.
yeah,
And he fought for all his belts. There's a difference between, like, say, Charlo fights Tim Tszyu and Tim Tszyu win. Now Tim Tszyu's undisputed, but Charlo did all the legwork. Charlo fought for the WBC first, then he fought for the WBA, then he fought for the IBF, then he fought for the what I'm saying, the WBO. So he fought for all the belts, and I have to give him credit. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about that on another segment. Is if a person does all the legwork and he fights everybody to get all the belts, and then you come in and you fight him and then you get all the belts. I'm kind of like biased or about that. I don't really like that situation because
um,
I did all the legwork all these years. I fought everybody, and then you just fight me and beat me.
yeah.
Now you're
I
undisputed, and
guess
you're
I
supposed to be
guess
the
it
best ever.
I guess it depends who the who the other guy fought. So, for example, Terrence Crawford. So he beat Errol Spence, had all those belts, and Terrence Crawford beat him. But Terrence Crawford's overall body of work, you could pretty much agree that he's the undisputed welterweight champion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he has a good resume. Don't get me wrong. He fought everybody that was in front of him. He didn't fight. he didn't fight, and then he was in a different. He was with ESPN, so
Yeah.
but he didn't get a chance to fight uh Sean Porter when Sean Porter was like basically in his prime or younger. He fought Sean Porter afterwards. I bet that he would get knocked out, but he didn't fight Keith Thurman. He didn't fight Danny Garcia. He didn't fight those guys. Now he didn't have the opportunity. I still think he would have won, but he didn't have the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying when a person does all the leg work and gets all the belts, and you have one belt or no belt. Now he did have one belt, so I understood the undisputed situation. But if you have no belts and you're a number one contender and you fight and beat a guy, then I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem
He
with
came into
Crawford
the
being
belt.
on.
Yeah, he came into the scenario with the belt. It's kind of like
Yeah,
when Jermaine Taylor beat Bernard Hopkins and he got all the belts. But
right.
before that, he hadn't really beaten nobody to be.
Right, right. Yeah, I have a problem. I have an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't have I don't have an issue with winning the fight, but I have an issue with you getting all the belts when you didn't work that hard to get all the belts. You just fought after I did all the work and came to the house, and then you know what I'm saying, you beat me and then you took all the money. You know what I'm saying? After I went to every last bank and got all the money and I put it in one spot, then you robbed me. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, it's kind of
I
like
don't
if
have
you married if you were a millionaire and you married your wife, she brought nothing to the marriage, and then
right.
uh,
She had $100.
and then yeah, and
Yeah,
then when you got a divorce, she got half your money. You know what I mean?
yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Prime example, man. I just have an issue. I have an issue with that. So, but um, Charlo definitely was in the top 10, even top five was undisputed at the time because he did all that leg work and he
yeah,
wound up winning and actually knocking out everybody for them titles,
yeah.
which was awesome. You know what I'm saying? So I really thought I had higher expectations for him. So pound for pound, he still should be in the pound for pound, even though that performance, he went up two weight class and he,
That
you know,
performance just left a bad
yeah, a
stench.
bad taste. Yeah, but I still think that pound for pound, because he's, a 154 pounder. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the
Right.
best at that weight class. So that definitely put a stain on his legacy, but not it shouldn't put a stain on his uh the body of
I
work.
don't think it's necessarily the fact that he lost that puts the stain. It's like we
How
discussed
he lost.
earlier. It was
Yeah, how he lost.
the performance. I think if he
Yeah,
would have got knocked out, but he tried to go for it, like kind of like how Andre did. Andre
yeah. The
earned
lack
fans'
of
respect.
performance.
I think Andre
Yeah,
earned more respect from fans in that loss than he ever did in any of his wins, which is pretty interesting. Charlo lost, didn't get knocked out, went the distance, but lost a lot of fans. And it's just
yeah,
interesting the way boxing works. It's almost like you'll just see this a lot back in history. Even like Alexis Arguello, those fights he had with Aaron Pryor. I mean, he lost those fights, but he gained a lot of respect in those fights
yeah.
because
Because
he really
he was in those fights. Now he wasn't in the second fight at all,
well,
but
not
he
the
was
second
in
fight,
the.
but the
I
first
think
fight.
the first fight he was in those fights. Like he was in it to where you thought he had a chance to win, or he had Aaron Pryor hurt. Like okay, he gonna win this fight. Like it was a toss up who was gonna win until somebody lost. The Charlo fight and Canelo fight was like, you know what I'm saying? It was just like he's not even trying.
Yeah,
Like, and then Derrick James was giving him the right information, telling him what to do. He didn't even try. It's like he bet on himself to go for a decision. Like he bet because you can bet on yourself. You just can't bet on yourself to lose. It's like he told one of his family members, bet that this fight goes to the decision. You know what I'm saying? Or bet that, if Canelo wins, it's by decision. But like bet that I'll go all those rounds. I know a fighter personally, a heavyweight fighter, who bet that he will go to decision against Mike Tyson. You know, and that's what he did. Win a decision. He didn't win a round. He didn't look good at all, but he won a decision, and he wound up winning. A lot of money. So
wow.
it is what it is. Yeah,
I can see a lot of fighters. Looks like they're doing that nowadays. They just there to show up and not there to win. And it turns off. It's a turn off to fans when they
yeah.
see that. Because a lot of
It's
fans,
it's
they're
a
not into
scam.
it.
It's not even a turnoff. It's a scam. It's a
Yeah,
scam. Because you could be like, man, I was all pumped up the way he talked. He talked a good one. You know what I'm saying? It's just like a scam artist, man. They talk a good one. You know what I'm saying? You hearing the message, oh yeah. And then you go out there and you be like, really? You did all that?
Yeah,
You talked all that trash, said you was gonna do all this stuff you've been talking about. You was gonna fight him for years, you was gonna beat him. You got out there and you just did nothing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Since we're
So
on this topic, I have one more topic, but since we're on this one, we're kind of discussing this, um, how a fighter can kind of stink the joint out to high heaven. Shakur Stevenson, couple weeks ago, big opportunity, big platform, T-Mobile Arena, WBC lightweight championship, vacant title on the line. He won a unanimous decision, but man, that was one of the worst fights I've seen in my old. I mean, I'm 45 years old. I've been watching boxing since I was a kid. Um, that's probably right up there in the top two or three. I mean,
yeah, you know what?
it's a memorable fight for not being memorable. for,
I kind of refer it back to, when Floyd fought Pacquiao and they talked about how it was so much of a mismatch on one side and it was just so boring. You can't blame one person. You have to blame both of the fighters. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, because the other guy, he didn't do nothing either. You know what I'm saying? So his performance and Shakur basically beat him with one hand. His left hand was jacked up, and he was like a little sick. Can't make no excuses for him, but he basically beat a guy with one hand, a world champion or a world class fighter with one hand. Okay, it was ugly, but he did what he had to do to get the
I
win
mean,
with
I'm
one
sure he
hand.
will.
Yeah.
He'll look better the next time out because obviously
Oh yeah, because he'll fight an orthodox guy.
yeah,
See, the difference is he's fighting a southpaw. So
Dos Santos was a southpaw. Also, so was two
yeah,
southpaw
difference.
counterpunchers.
Southpaw counterpunchers. You know what I'm saying? Fighting each other. You know what I'm saying? Like Devin Haney got on there and was like, "Oh, you're a bum. I shouldn't offer you so and so this and much." But if they fight each other, Shakur stay in the pocket. He would just step around and he would run them numbers on him because it's a different. It's a different segment or a different dimension because he's an orthodox guy fighting a southpaw guy. That's totally different. And he's not a hard puncher, so he doesn't have to move around that much with Devin
Yeah,
Haney. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
I
People
give
say,
that guy a little bit too much respect, but at the same time, Dos Santos when he was in that fight, Dos Santos because he was the underdog. One fighter has to be willing to take the lead. I mean, that's just how it works. You're the guy coming
right,
right in there. You know that the deck is stacked against you. If you lose this shot, you're probably not going to get another one. You got to come forward.
got to come take the
Somebody
risk.
in the gym trained for that because was he thinking that Shakur was going to come forward? He's
You
not
know Shakur wasn't gonna come forward, right? He had to take the risk, and he didn't take the risk.
yeah.
He
So
was
so
trying to
yes,
out counter the counter puncher, outboxing. You can't outbox a boxer.
yeah. I think from that standpoint, um, yes, you blame both guys, but in this sense, more blame has to be put on the underdog because they're expected to come there to make the fight. They're not
There
the
you go.
star. They're in the they're trying to become a star on the back of a
Right.
star. And if you just
There you
go,
go.
you're never gonna get it. He's never gonna get another big opportunity after that performance. I mean, that was pretty dreadful. Moving on to something more positive. Uh, 2024. This is the last question for the podcast. Really appreciate you being on here. Some great insights from you. Um, this has been excellent. 2024 fights that you want to see. What fights on the horizon that you think are something that you would put down $85 to see on pay per view?
I want to see all the 135 guys fight each other, even if they moved up. I want to see Tiafimo fight whoever, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Tank, Shakur, or just Tank, and then I want to see Tank fight Devin Haney, Shakur. Um, I want to see it all. I want to see. Yeah, those are the fights I want to see. I want to see those guys because those guys that group was really blazing. So if they fight at 135 or they fight at 140, I would like to see those guys fight each other. You know what I'm saying? And see who's number one. That's what I really want to see. That's what I can see off the tip of my head. And I want to see next year Curmel Moton fight for a title, not maybe a big world title, but I want to see him fight for NABF, USBA, or the WBA under 19 title. You know what I'm saying? Because he's still 17 years old. Next year he'll be 18 in June. So that's what I want to see.
Okay, and when and if he gets one of those titles, that's just kind of the first step to getting ranked in the top 15. Is that going
Yeah, well,
next year?
well, nah, he'll be ranked in the top 15 next year, but that'll get him ranked in the top 10 towards getting a title shot. If you win, when I was growing up back in the day, you had to win the NABF or the USBA, and that catapults you to fight for the WBC or the WBA title. You know what I'm saying? So, if you win one of those small titles, you're guaranteed to fight for the major title. So I think I want to take that step. I don't want them to just jump into fighting for a world title. I want them to fight the NABF or USBA, or the WBA under 19 or the WBA international title. So I want him to fight for a title before he gets the big stage.
So is he currently? When is he currently in the 4 round stage? When is he going to get to the 6 round stage, 8 round
Okay,
stage? How
so
many other
let me tell you
fights?
this. Let me tell you this. He's a 12 round fighter already, but he was going to fight his first pro fight. He was going to fight 6 rounds, but the Vegas said no because of his age. He was 17 years old, and he can't fight a 6 rounder. So we were going to fight him a 6 rounder, his first professional fight.
Okay, and when does he turn 18?
He doesn't turn 18 till June. In June, I think June. I forgot the date, but it's June 11th, 12th. I don't know the exact date, but it's in June.
Okay, and he's still in high school right now, or is he?
Yes,
He's still in high
still in
school.
high school, and but I think that after his third bout or a second, because he done fought twice already, two undefeated guys. So I think maybe his next fight they'll let him fight a 6 rounder, possibly, or after his third fight. I don't know how that goes.
Okay. Um, any other fights you want to see, or is that kind of where we're at right
Man,
now? Or
really, uh, really, that's it. I don't want to see the rematch between Chance Crawford and Spence. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see. I
what
don't want to
about
see that.
Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez? Does that sound realistic to you, or is that more of just a fantasy?
Uh, he'll do a better job than Charlo would. I'll tell you that much. I want to see Terrence Crawford and Charlo fight at 54. I want to see that. I
It
want to see
seems like
that.
the luster has been taken away from that fight just based on that.
Not, but still, he's still. I think he got stripped of a title, which is BS. But he still has like three titles. I think that he should fight for that, and then same thing. I think he should fight for that, and then he'll get 3 belts. It might not be undisputed, but still people would recognize him as the undisputed because Charlo's never been beat. I would like to see that. Charlo and Terrence Crawford. He's fighting in his weight class now. He's going back down on weight. He's fighting his weight class. He's fighting a smaller guy that's coming up.
I'm
So
just,
he would fight a
I
little
don't think
harder.
people. I just don't think people will. I mean, the bad taste has not gone away. I mean, it really
Yeah.
hasn't. Um,
I think if you promote it right, it can be done because you have to look at all the facts. Now, don't get me wrong. David Reed used to say you're only as good as your last performance, but he's like if your last performance is jumping up 2 weight classes and fighting a guy that's stronger than you, so you're boxing, moving around, trying not to get hit, but you're fighting a guy smaller than you, coming up in weight. So I don't think that you will be doing a lot of moving around. He will be trying to.
okay.
And then it's also kind of like a revenge. I think Spence and Crawford is going to fight again. Now, if they do fight again, then the winner out of that,
I
is
don't.
going to be Terrence Crawford,
I
should
don't see
fight.
it happening. I don't.
Say what?
I'm saying that fight, Terrence Crawford against Errol Spence, the rematch. I just don't see it happening. I mean, there's no
Yeah,
interest.
I think they're signed already to fight again.
I
So
understand
if they,
there's a rematch clause there, but
yeah,
because Showtime has exited the boxing business, I'm just curious who's going to pay for it? Who's going to broadcast it?
man, anybody will pick that up. I mean, I think that it'll get picked up. I think it'll get picked up. It's
You,
really easy,
you
you
think
know.
fans will pay for that, or you think it's going to be a flop?
Hell nah. I think it'd be piracy. You know what I'm saying? I think like piracy. I don't. Nobody wants to see it, but if you got the rematch clause, you know what I'm saying, then you fight it. But I don't think nobody wants to pay to see it. I don't think it's going to make a lot of views or buys that the first one did. I definitely don't think that. But you still got to, if you still got that clause, you still got to fight. So you could do that, and then the mandatory out of that, which I think Crawford will win. He just say, now I'm gonna fight Charlo. I think it'll be good for boxing.
So final thought before we get out of here. Once again, I just want to say appreciate you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Man, we could do this whenever, every week, if you're down. Because I mean, this is
all right. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Final thought. Picking your brain here. Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. How do you see that fight playing out?
We have weight limits for a reason, but I don't. Terrence Crawford is a guy that I won't bet against. There's certain guys you just don't bet against, and I wouldn't, even though we have a weight class difference, I'm not betting against Terrence Crawford.
So you think that Terrence Crawford can move up from
2 weight classes or 3 weight classes
to beat Canelo?
I mean, that's kind of like, I wouldn't bet against him. Let me just tell you that. No, I'm just saying I would not bet against him. If he had the right time to prep for it, I've seen Roy Jones went up to heavyweight and he won his title.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen. You know what I'm saying?
On the fighter. I think
on the person. Yeah. It depends on the person.
Is most fighters, when they move up in weight, they lose their speed. And that's an attribute that it's going to hurt them when they move up. Terrence Crawford is not really known for being like a quick fighter. He's very cerebral. He's got good skills. He's got good instincts. And I think that could give him a chance at beating Canelo because he doesn't rely on speed all that.
Right. He relies on precision. He relies on precision, punching, accuracy. He relies on good eyes and hand in the pocket and punching off the blocks or punching off of a different movement. So I give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? I give him a great chance.
He's
I give him
to be able to hurt Canelo at some point and get Canelo's respect because Canelo is.
I give him a great chance of winning.
I think, to be honest with you, it's a huge mountain to climb, but it's something I would like to see Crawford attempt to do because I think if he beats Canelo, he is really like on the Mount Rushmore in boxing history. I think if he could pull that upset off.
Hell yeah. He should be able to retire right then and there. You know what I'm saying? Or unless he want to get a rematch to get some more money, but he'll be undisputed in 3 weight classes. 140, 147, 168. He should be able to say, forget about it.
So hypothetically, if he wins that fight and he's like, okay, I won the fight, I know that there'll be a rematch clause, so we'd have to fight Canelo again. But that being said, if he won that fight, where would that put him in history? Does that put him in the top 10 all time with Sugar Ray Leonard's and Ray Robbins?
Hell yeah. That'll put him ahead of a lot of people. So that'd be undisputed in 3 weight classes. 140, 147, and 168, jumping up 2 weight classes. The body of work will be bad, man. The body of work will be exceptional. And I don't even know what his record is, but the body of work will be exceptional. I might put him as my number 1 all-time favorite after that. Just mine.
So that puts him. That's got to put him above Floyd.
That will put him in my book. If he wins that, he goes as my number 1 all-time favorite fighter in the world, past or present, just because of the body of work.
It's intriguing to think about. I don't know if it happens because you're gonna have to give Terrence Crawford a lot of money to make that jump. Hey, I don't want to discuss too much because I want to give us something to talk about the next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Really appreciate you today. Excellent insight on the sport of boxing. Obviously, because you've been around the sport so long. Just as a lead into next time that we do a show together, I would like to talk about a little bit more about you, your boxing career, and some advice you would give to people wanting to get in the boxing business. I think that might be, is that something you'd like to share with people in the future?
Let's do it. Let's do it next time. Whenever you want. We're gonna do this once a week, once a month. What we're gonna do? Once a you know what I'm saying? Just let me know. I'm ready.
I'd love to do it every week. If we could do this every week, I think it'd be great for my subscribers. It'd be great for your YouTube channel, just to get the exposure out there. People like myself and you who really know boxing, and just give it to you like how it's supposed to be given. No BS. This is real stuff that we're talking about, and really appreciate it. And yeah, let's do this again soon.
All right, let's do it. Next week it is then.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you. Hope a lot of people, get to know this guy. This brother's a good person. He represents the boxing business in the best way possible, and he's got some great upcoming fighters that you better pay attention, because these kids that he's training, they're looking.
Oh, we coming. Yeah, we coming.
And
Thank you.
don't sleep on this kid Curmel Moton. And we'll talk about some of your other fighters that you have on the next show, give them exposure. Hopefully we can get some of your fighters to be part of this program as well in the future.
Oh, sounds good. I got a squad now, too. All right.
We'll talk soon. Appreciate you so much. Thank you. And I see you
Thank you.
on the TO Nation podcast.
Unbelievable! You want to throw sometime?